The road home stretched endlessly before us, the trees on either side forming a tunnel of green. The light filtered through the branches, casting random patterns across the window, occasionally flashing directly into my eyes. It should have felt peaceful, even serene, but inside the car the air was heavy with tension. My mom sat beside me, gripping the steering wheel with white-knuckled hands. Her short brown hair was neat as always, her green eyes the same color as the shirt she wore looked more tired than ever, dark circles beneath them hinting at the many sleepless nights. She kept glancing at me in the rearview mirror, probably checking if I was still there. I was, hunched over with my arms wrapped around myself, my head pressed against the cold window. I looked out, but I wasn't really seeing anything. I had grown accustomed to not feeling much of anything, physically at least. The doctor said it was some kind of disorder, a rare condition that made me numb to pain. Cuts, bruises, broken bones, none of it registered. They also said I had Tourette's, which explained the involuntary tics and twitches that had earned me the cruel nickname Ticc Toby back in school. But those were the least of my worries now. The last time I had been in a car, it ended in a crash that killed my sister. I could still hear her screams in my head, still see the image of her mangled body trapped beneath the wreckage. That's what my mind played on repeat as we drove, the horror of it all, the unfairness, the loss. I was the lucky one, they said, but how could I be when she was gone? When we finally pulled into our neighborhood, I was just glad the drive was over. But the sight of my father standing in the driveway made my stomach turn. He was the last person I wanted to see. He hadn't even been there for Lyra's final moments, too drunk to drive to the hospital. Now he had the nerve to show up here, acting like he cared. My mom tried to defend him, saying he wanted to see me, but her voice was shaky and I wasn't buying it. I pushed open the car door and stumbled out, refusing to look at my father. Mom tried to keep the peace, but I couldn't. The anger boiled inside me as I trudged up to my room, slamming the door behind me. I threw myself on the bed and stared at the walls, at the old family photos that mocked me with their happiness. I could never forgive my father for what he did to us, for what he did to my mom and sister. The anger in me festered, even though I knew it wouldn't change anything. That night, sleep was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, the memories of the crash flooded back, more vivid and terrifying each time. I could still hear the screeching tires, feel the impact, see Lyra's lifeless body. I buried my face in the pillow, trying to muffle the sobs that I couldn't hold back anymore. But even that didn't help. The pain wasn't just in my mind, it was everywhere, suffocating me. When I finally fell asleep, it was only to be woken by nightmares. There were shadows in the hallway, a figure standing under the streetlight outside my window. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was there, watching me. And when I saw it, a faceless figure staring back at me from the darkness, the ringing in my ears grew unbearable until everything went black. The next day, I felt different, numb in a way that went beyond my usual condition. I moved through the house like a ghost, detached from everything around me. My father's presence only made it worse. I could hear him yelling, see him as he lashed out at me for no reason, and something inside me snapped. The voices in my head started to whisper, growing louder, more insistent, "Do it, kill him." I tried to resist, tried to remind myself that I wasn't a killer, that I hated him, but I couldn't do that. But the voices drowned out my thoughts, taking control. I found myself gripping a knife, laughing uncontrollably as I approached my father. His eyes widened in shock and fear as he realized what was happening, but it was too late. I was on him in an instant, the knife in my hand, driven by a rage that wasn't entirely my own. He fought back, cursing and yelling, but I couldn't stop. The look in his eyes was one of pure terror, and in that moment, I didn't care. All I wanted was for him to feel the pain I couldn't, and then everything went dark again.